Today, we are super excited to introduce to you a successful young woman who embodies the true beauty inside and out. Miss Cierra Thurman is a best-selling author, transformational speaker, curvy model, Thornwood alumni, teacher, and CEO of Written Ambition Publishing. Cierra was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, but spent most of her summers in Arkansas with her family. She describes herself as a city girl with a little southern hospitality. She played Division I college basketball and has her master's degree from Loyola University. Cierra consults with writers and entrepreneurs. Many of her readers say her books encourage you not to become a victim of your past, but instead to overcome your circumstances. And Steve Harvey himself calls her a fly chick who is classy, on point, and poised. Cierra uses her platform to uplift the masses through her books, television appearances, speaking engagements, relationship panels, and inspirational posts on social media. And today, she is here at Thornwood High School to uplift us. So put your hands together for our
Thank you all for being here. Well, first I want to say thank you, Patty, Ms. Brookie, for that lovely introduction. I want to thank Principal Holmes as well as Thornwood High School for allowing me to be here for the Distinguished Speaker Series. And most importantly, I want to thank each and every single one of you all for being here. So give yourselves a round of applause. So we're going to get started. It's a short little video.
In the studio today, I have a great friend and a great author. Her name is Cierra Thurman.
Put your hands together for Cierra Thurman's in the studio.
I'm committed to using the hearts and minds of women to encourage them and empower them to leave any situation that no longer serves you, helps you grow, or makes you happy.
Because it takes work, and especially for women.
All our queens can all shine out, and we can get that quicker if we actually help each other. So that's what we can both eat.
I'm a victim to your circumstances and use that not as a setback but as a comeback. I'm definitely an advocate for plus size modeling. I'm an advocate for body diversity. I'm an advocate for loving yourself.
Cierra, did you believe Ricky when he told you that he didn't cheat?
Not really. Because he never defended himself when we all three were together. So now I just felt like, well, he could say anything now, it was just us. He had a whole year to come up with something.
You gotta set him free.
Somebody tell me I look like a hooper, but I get down on that court, trust and believe. Ooh.
Other writers become published and it helps them to tell their story.
She's a beautiful girl. It ain't the one. And if you want her, just set her free.
And you're having sex with the girl.
So today, I'm going to share with you all a few stories. I'm an author, so it's safe to say I like stories. But I'm also the CEO of a publishing company. What does that mean? I can help you tell your story. We all have our peaks and our valleys. But what really resonates with someone is if you could show them how your test became your testimony. I want you all to raise your hands if you think you have a story to tell. Got a story to tell? So Maya Angelou said it this way: there's no greater agony than bearing the pain of an untold story inside of you. My story began when I was 2 years old. My mother was in the hospital giving birth to my baby brother. and I was barely walking when my father was killed. My dad held my brother in his arms and rushed home to get my mom a change of clothes. He was supposed to come right back. But he decided that he wanted to celebrate the birth of his very first son. And by celebrate, I mean he started drinking, snorting a little cocaine. He called his brother Leroy over to the house. My dad got so high and he was so paranoid that he thought someone was trying to break in. So he called the police. Yeah, you heard me. He called the police on himself. Now y'all know he must have been had to call the police on himself. Leroy immediately went to a state and started flushing all the drugs down the toilet. The next thing you know, boom, boom, boom! The police were at the door. Leroy let the officers in. The officers escorted Leroy out. What happens next is unclear. But what is for certain, my dad was alone, he was unarmed, and he was shot 5 times in his back. My Aunt Mady showed up at the hospital and tried best as she could to explain the unusual set of circumstances that led her there. She showed up with a Catholic priest, although my mom was Baptist. Rose, Billy's gone. My mom was confused. She didn't understand what her sister-in-law was trying to tell her. Lady girl, what you talking about? Gone where? What you mean Billy gone? You know you're supposed to be picking me up from this hospital. My Aunt Mady tried to explain again, this time with a little bit more clarity. Rose, Billy was killed this morning by Chicago police. And just like that, I became a daddyless daughter. I don't have one single memory of my father from my childhood. All I know is that growing up, I didn't have one. I used to envy my friends when they did things with their dads. I wanted to be daddy's little girl, but I love when my mom sits and talk about my dad. We'll flip through old photo albums and she'll tell me what he was like. He used to make her call home and check on her family down south. Because even though she wouldn't admit it, he knew she was homesick. And Thursday, they would go to the pool hall and shoot some pool. And Friday was reserved for dancing the night away. My dad was 6'3". So on the weekends, he would go to the park and play pickup basketball games with his friends. But what really stands out to my mom about my dad is how much he loved taking pictures. He thought he was a pretty boy, she'd say. I play basketball, I model, and I know I got my dance skills from my old man. It's amazing how much we have in common. And although I never personally knew him, I've come to know him so well. Yeah, I needed my dad, especially when it came to love and relationships. Boyfriends came and went. I grew accustomed to being disappointed. I was engaged once upon a time, but my fiance thought it was okay to put his hands on me. So it's safe to say, I didn't make it down the aisle to say I do. And then there was my relationship with Steve Harvey. Y'all heard about my relationship with Steve? No, not that type of relationship. I'm talking about the relationship when I appeared on this television show. It was called the 30-Day Date Exes Edition. I dated my ex-boyfriend for 30 days to see if we could rekindle, maybe possibly even find closure. I'm pretty sure you figured out how that went. I was a fool for that man. Break up to make up. That's all we did. Y'all remember that song by the Stylistic? Now y'all young ones, I know y'all know nothing about this. Go home and ask your mama, go home and ask your daddy. Teachers, come on, bad with me. Has anyone ever been a fool in love before? I have so many stories to share, but it was actually my mom who encouraged me to share them. See, I've been writing since I was a little girl. It's always been therapeutic for me. I would write a story, it'll collect dust. I would write another story, that'll collect dust too. Finally, one day my mom said, Sierra, when do you plan on sharing your stories? You see, I was raised that you're not supposed to air your dirty laundry. My grandma used to say, CC, what happens in this house stays in this house. Oh, y'all grandma told y'all that too. But the truth of the matter is, we've been subconsciously trained to suppress our emotions and our pain. And if what happens in this house stays in this house, it will ultimately lead to the destruction of this house. Aren't you ready to be free?
Yeah.
Aren't you ready to tell your story? Aren't you ready to release all that baggage you've been carrying around? Yeah. It's time for you to follow your dreams, and it's time for you to share your story. Why not let this daddyless daughter help you? But I'm not just a daddyless daughter, because I don't stand in my past. I stand on my past. I'm also a nationally recognized author. I'm also the CEO of a publishing company. I'm also a teacher, a coach. Oh, I forgot to tell y'all. I'm also a police officer. My name is Cierra Thurman, and I approve this message. We had a couple technical difficulties, but that's all right. If you all would like a copy of the book, I know Miss Patty Borky, she has some in the library for you all to check out. If you want an actual copy to keep for yourself, I also have copies available that's autographed. And we'll be back on December 5th to have more of an in-depth discussion about these two books. Any questions? Questions? When did I join the police force? I've been in law enforcement for 8 years now. Why? Because I want to help people, especially people that look like me. What is the book about? Each one. Okay, so the first one actually is sometimes, my life, the one he never got to witness. My father was murdered when I was young, and I basically wrote a story to him explaining, in your absence, this is everything I endured, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But ultimately, I wrote it so the reader can realize that your past doesn't have to necessarily be your future. You can rewrite your story. No matter what circumstances, how you grew up, where you come from, that's it. And then the second one, sometimes the breakup is the blessing. It's really just life experiences after going through a national breakup on television. It was pretty heartfelt. It was heartbreaking. And I was exposed with the world watching. It's one thing to go through a breakup in the privacy of your own home. It's entirely different to do it with the world watching. So I just wrote about my experience and what I learned during that time. Yes.
You joined the police force instead of hating them, to join them.
Well, you know, my dad was killed by the police. So a lot of people would assume that if anybody would hate the police, it would be me, right? Mm-hmm. But I realized that in order for me to make a difference, in order for me to see some type of change, I had to be in the system so I could actually help. So that's what I did.
So you help people.
Yeah, just like you. Mm-hmm. Any questions? Last minute questions? Because we're almost done. Gotta get y'all CPP pass and out of here.
What do you coach?
Basketball. Where my girls at? Where my basketball players?
Wait, hold on 1 second. Before you go, I have all 3 sign-in sheets, okay? So that will determine your CCC points, CPP points. Please listen to the announcements to how that rolls out. Many of you will be receiving one of these. You have to get it from Miss Beckety. If you don't get it, you need to let me know because I'm making more copies because we had 59 people in attendance, which is the most we've ever had for our Distinguished Speaker Series. If you would like to check out a copy of her book, you need to have your ID and it's ready for checkout right upstairs right now. Thank you for your time and attention. Let's give it up to Ms. Thurman.